I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. If you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you'd already know that the title of tonight's show is A Retreat to Higher Ground, or perhaps to Safer Shores. And that is because there are so many retrograde planets right now. 6 of them, or 60% of all of the planets in the heavens, are going backward. And among them, there are actually 4 planets in the practical, realistic, business-like Earth signs, and 3 of those 4 planets are retrograde. And yet, they are all trining each other. That's pretty good, because we have Uranus in Taurus, which is a fixed financial sign. It's the traditional ruler of your second house, of how you make your money and what you spend it on or invest it in. And Uranus is a planet of sudden, surprising change and volatility. And so you do have to look over your financial matters a lot more closely right now. And then that Uranus in Taurus is trining both Venus, the ruler of Taurus and of Libra, and Mercury, which is retrograde, and they are both in Virgo. Virgo rules the traditional 6th house of your job and your health and your employer-employee relationships. And it also rules accounting, facts and details. And it rules finishing. And so Virgos are very thorough in what they do. It also rules modesty. So it rules occupations that are of service to others. And they could have done pretty well lately, because Venus has been in Libra, but Venus has been in Virgo for a while. And so it's been favoring occupations that are of service to others, like teachers and nurses and firemen and policemen and social workers and community volunteers. All of those people would have benefited while Venus was in Virgo, which is wonderful. And yet now, with Venus being direct and Mercury in that sign as well being retrograde, it means that we have to go back and we have to sort of rethink our matters regarding our health, or matters regarding the accounting of our bills and of what we owe and what our income levels are. In other words, once again, a sort of a business-like approach to things. And that is in the face of much higher inflation and a lot of debt. And so that's a good idea to pay attention to those things. And then the last Earth sign is Capricorn, and Pluto is in Capricorn, and it's retrograde, and it traditionally rules the 10th house of your career and of your public reputation and your standing in the community, and it also rules rewards that you earn over a long period of time. So it rules your pension and your retirement funds as well. And so the reason the show is titled A Retreat to Higher Ground is because there are actually 6 retrograde planets. The 3 retrograde ones in the Earth signs are very well favored because they're trining each other, and in addition, Venus is still in Virgo. It won't be after tomorrow, though. By tomorrow it enters Libra. But still the grand trine in the Earth signs hold. And the other planets that are retrograde are Saturn in Aquarius, Neptune in Pisces, and Jupiter in Aries. So they join the 3 that are in trine in the Earth signs. And so that simply means that a retreat to higher ground or to safer shores is pertaining to your job or to your health, or to your business interests, or your investments, or your long-term security plans and goals. And so what we're facing now, as the seasons change from summer to fall and then into a very cold winter, we are facing, particularly businesses or heads of organizations or institutions or government agencies, they are facing the fact that it might be a better idea to reduce both their goals and their management or their staffs in order to cut costs so that they can make it through a time when there may be a pending recession. And that simply means there could also be a big change or upset in world politics. Because there are nations at war right now, and if there get to be more nations at war, that's going to affect everybody. So this is a time when a lot of people, whether they are a small business owner or whether they had a great big corporation, they are all looking at the same thing, a retreat back to, say, higher ground. And by that I mean more safe business practices, and really watching the bottom line, and cutting costs, which can generally mean cutting staff, in order for them to reduce their costs in face of lower expectations according to what revenues they expect. Maybe they're sort of thinking they might not make as much money this winter, and so they want to cut costs so that they survive. And so these 6 retrograde planets, particularly the strong ones in the earth signs, which are so practical anyway, simply means that a lot of us, in one way or another, are going to have to restructure our plans. We're going to have to restructure our costs and the way we spend our money and how we handle our savings and how we handle our investments. So we'll have to redo our investment strategies, our daily lives, the way we spend our money in our daily lives, and we'll have to restructure our future goals, particularly the immediate future, say from now until next spring. And so that simply means that there may have to be some cuts in management. And that is because there are a lot of people who are seeking a higher ground or safer shores, who are looking at things that haven't worked. They're looking at goals or plans that have failed. And they can see the failure, but this isn't a time when they can just throw more money at it. They've got to cut their funds and cut their costs. And along with that, whoever was responsible for the failures or the setbacks, they may have run out of excuses, and so these people need new management. And they need things that cost less. And so they need to pull in their belts, head for higher ground, safer shores, not take so many chances. Because I don't think that they can see, in the face of a pending recession or of the high inflation that we're all living with, inflation just eats up your money. So nobody's got the bright financial future that they may have had a few years ago, and certainly, things have changed. So this is important for you to realize that if businesses are retreating, cutting costs, redoing their strategies and their investments and their management, then we have to too. We have to get a little tighter, more realistic grip on how we do handle our money and who we're doing business with. And nobody can afford to take that many chances anymore. But luckily, there is also a beautiful grand trine in the air signs. And because of that, it simply means that communication, really good communication, can just flow right now. And so you would be wise to get out and start talking to a lot of people. See what everybody else is thinking about, or what they would like to do. Because the sun is in Libra right now, which does rule partnership, and it rules diplomacy, and it rules compromise. It certainly rules the law and all legal contracts. And with the sun there, that's great. But tomorrow, Venus, the ruler of Libra, is going to leave Virgo and go into Libra as well. And that's very good because it'll immediately start conjuncting the sun in Libra. So there could be a very favorable new partnership coming to you. And you have to communicate. You have to talk to people, or you have to get out and, sort of reach out. But that is really possible because the planets in Libra tomorrow, the Sun and Venus, are being trined by by Mars in Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury, and also by Saturn in Aquarius, which is retrograde. Since Aquarius rules the future, that's a strong indication that our future plans have to be restructured. And with much better communication, you can do that. So, yes, we have to be practical and businesslike, but on the other hand, what is really favored now is our new people with simple ideas that don't cost as much and have a very good chance of succeeding. If you can find anybody like that, or if you have a simple idea that isn't going to cost an arm and a leg, you should let somebody know that. Because that's what people are looking for now. They're looking for ways to still succeed. It's just got to be done at a lower cost and probably with new people who really have some experience, and along with that, less expensive ideas that probably can be ably communicated and tried out. And so you may have to restructure your future plans, but they could work out a little better in the future if you sort of lowered your sights or you retreated a little bit. And also if you're looking for a new partner, boy, is this going to be a good time to do that. So I wish you all the best of luck. What does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Aries. This is a time, Aries, when, your sign rules new beginnings, and the ruler of your sign is Mars, and it's a dynamic fire sign. And so, Aries, you can be wanting to just get up and get going on something new. And Jupiter is still in your sign, but it isn't going to be for too much longer. It's only at 3 degrees now, and so it is heading back into Pisces. And that means that if you could just slow down a little bit, Aries, and start looking at your budget and at your plans and what your costs are, and just see if you can't condense all that a little bit. And then, if you've had a good idea for a long time, I would try it while Jupiter is still in your sign. Your ruler, Mars, is in Gemini. It is sextiling your sign. So you may have to do something on a part-time basis, or your goals may have to be shortened a little bit in order to retreat to higher ground. And what that really means is in order to make sure that your money is safer. And so, you don't want to spend it all. So you want to go ahead, I'm sure, Aries, but this is not a time when speculation is favored. It should be if you have a lot of experience at something, or you feel you're qualified to do something new, that would be great. I still suggest that you take a partner, but you may not want to go through all that rigmarole of signing contracts and so on in order to do that, because tomorrow the Sun and Venus in Libra will be opposing Jupiter in your sign, which isn't too good for you. It's very good for people who want to compromise, or who want to downsize a little bit, or who want to do things on a less expensive budget. In other words, cutting costs is okay with them, but it might not be with you. And so you might be better to just go out on your own, Aries. You certainly will have the energy, and you probably have had a lot of good ideas with Jupiter in your sign. And so maybe this is a good time to try them out. I would suggest you take the simplest idea and the one at the lowest cost. Don't start off with a grand gesture. Just be a little bit more frugal and, try a little something and see where it goes. Jupiter is going to retrograde back into Pisces, but it'll eventually turn around and come back into your sign. So if you can sort of slow down a little bit right now, Aries, I think you can do okay over the winter. And remember, that's what we all have to get through. And nobody knows what a pending recession or an upset in world politics is going to, how that will affect us. But it will. And so, think a little bit smaller, Aries. And on a smaller budget and with a smaller idea or a smaller solution. But that doesn't mean it couldn't last an awful long time. It could. So just have faith in yourself, Aries. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, remember I said there is a grand trine in the earth signs. There has been for weeks. And so I'm sure you have been thinking along very practical lines for quite a while, Taurus. And you may be looking over your investments and realizing that your investment strategy has to change because there could be volatile fluctuations in your investments. And that isn't all your fault, Taurus, at all. It is the reaction of the people or the organizations you've been investing in that have had to adjust to these uncertain economic times. And so, you have to too, Taurus. And Pluto in Capricorn is trining your sun. And today, Mercury, which is retrograde in Virgo, along with Venus at the 29th degree of fate, but still in Virgo, and that's your ruler, are trining your sun as well. I think, Taurus, that right about now, you are really at a crossroads. And you have to decide, okay, or maybe you're in a Y in a road. And so you can't go forward doing everything your way because we all have to adjust to changing economic and business and political conditions in the world. And it's a sort of an upsetting world right now. And it was going to be a cold winter. So it can be that you can't go straight forward and have everything your own way right now, even though you are very well organized to do something like that. It's just that, your success does not depend completely upon yourself right now, Taurus. I'm sorry to say. The aspects are favorable to you, but it sort of depends on what else is happening in the world, which you do not have any control over. And so I think you should sort of shorten or restructure your future goals by just saying, what do I want to do in the next 6 months? Or the next 9 months? And just concentrate on that. Because then you're sort of restricting yourself to a certain time frame, but that gives you a sort of a boundary to work within. And that might be the safest thing for you. The idea that we all have to retreat a little bit, that these are not the good old days anymore, goes for you as well as everybody else. So instead of saying, well, I want to do this and I want to do that, and a Taurus is a good long-term thinker as well. But right now, since we do not know what's going to be even happening next month, much less in 6 months, try to just say, what can I afford for the next 6 months? And if you can just afford just to sort of scale back or step back and, slow down a little bit, do less, at least it would cost you less. And it's an important, cutting costs is a real important priority right now. So I hope you think about that. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Gemini. Well, Gemini, it's wonderful that the sun is in Libra because it's trining your sun. But tomorrow, Venus will go into Libra, and they'll both be trining your sun, which is very good because you have Mars in your sun sign. And a Venus-Mars trine is an indication that men and women can be getting along better. And particularly since the sun is in Libra, which does rule compromise and diplomacy and, sort of giving an inch and getting along. So that would be very good, Gemini. And then Saturn in Aquarius is also trining your sun. And it is retrograde. But nothing else is. There's a grand trine in air signs, but there's only one retrograde planet in air signs. And that is Saturn in Aquarius. And so that does mean that you too, and all of us, are going to have to restructure our future plans. One way, since your sign rules duality, and it rules two of everything at a minimum. I mean, Geminis are so versatile and adaptable. Sometimes they can do more than two things. They could have a lot of irons in the fire at the same time and enjoy it. They like going from one thing to another because they're so versatile. So this is a time when, since your sign rules part-time and temporary work, that would be good for you to take on a part-time extra project or a part-time job in addition to the one you're already doing, Gemini. And it could be volunteer effort, or it could be that you just feel like you want to put away a little bit more money right now or pay down your bills. And a part-time job, even if it's only 1 or 2 days a week, would probably do your budget a lot of good, Gemini. So I hope you consider it, because you're under very good aspects to be around people who communicate well, and that could be you. You have a gift for communication. And also, you could be talking to people who have pretty good ideas, but they're sort of simple ideas, and they don't cost very much. And, I'd listen to them a little bit more, Gemini, because we've got to get through an uncertain period in all of our lives when there are great big things that could happen in this world that we don't have any control over, and we still have to get through them. And so this is a time to begin to consider new ideas, people who have sort of their feet on the ground and they have good suggestions that are a little bit lower cost. And then also people that you like and people you get along with. Not with a big effort, but you just get along with them. I mean, you're compatible with them. Those are the people that you should be around right now, Gemini. And you're entering a period of time that is quite congenial for you. And so as long as you keep a smile on your face, Gemini, I think you're going to do just fine. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Cancer. This is a time when there aren't very many planets in the water signs. In fact, once again, there's only one planet in a water sign, and it is Neptune in Pisces, which is retrograde. Pisces rules dreams, and it rules our hopes and wishes. And, it's how we want the world to be, not exactly how it is. But, it also, Pisces is a very artistic, creative sign. It rules photography. And it rules anything coming out of the ground that is a liquid, because Pisces is a water sign. And so it rules the oil and gas business, and it rules water that comes out of the ground. And so this is a time, Cancer, when it probably would be very nice for you if you could stick to your hopes and wishes. Now, at the same time, I'm saying that the reason the show is titled A Retreat to Higher Ground is because we all have to seek safety throughout the winter and going into next spring. Nobody can afford to take any gambles. And so this is a time when, Cancer, you should try real hard to make do. And by that, Cancers are excellent at that, by the way. Cancer rules recycling. And so anything that you can, sort of, any way that you can sort of stretch a dollar, Cancer, you ought to give that a try, because it might help make a hope or a wish come true for you. And what's wrong with that? Nothing. But it would have to be a low-cost wish, and it is something that probably could come even through a partner, a new partner, or somebody who has a sort of a common sense idea that it offers a simple solution and it doesn't cost very much. It could take a lot of effort, but not a lot of income to do it, not a lot of money. And Cancer, you should consider that. Cancer is the sign of thrift. And so, Cancer, I'm not worried about you getting through the winter. You'll find a way, and you'll keep warm, and you'll probably try to help a lot of other people along the way. Cancer is a very nurturing sign. It can even be that you decide to invite more people to come home to dinner. Cancers are pretty good cooks. So that's fine, and it doesn't have to be fancy. Cancers don't really like pretension, pretentious people or pretentious things. They like things that are homey and comfortable, and they like good food, but it's sort of easily digestible home cooking type of food. So Cancer, I'm not worried about you getting through the winter. It's just that there are so many things right now that we don't control, and you don't either, Cancer. And so you have to sort of batten down the hatches and try not to take any kind of risk in your investment strategies. In other words, keep your money safe, and also try very hard to look around in this time of better communication. Look around for people who have simple ideas that don't cost much but could be very successful. Because, there's nothing wrong with being successful. It just can't cost very much right now. And it can't cost very much this winter either. And also, the reason businesses are retreating, particularly in their budgets and they're going to be facing cutbacks in their budgets and in staff, is because of current failures or setbacks that have already happened this year. And they know they can't afford to spend one more dollar on that. And you can't either, Cancer. So remember, recycle whatever you can. And if you have, Cancers are very good with their hands. Cancer rules manual labor. That's why it actually rules unions. And Cancer rules the masses. And so anything that you can make with your hands for Christmas gifts would be a good idea this year and be very appreciated. So, when you make something with your hands, you're putting love into whatever you're doing. And even if it's a little thing, it just has special meaning. And so you can express what's in your heart, particularly if you just simplify your life a little bit, the way we all have to. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Leo, this is a time, Leo, since your sign rules extravagance, that this idea of a retreat to higher ground, which is safer, or to safer shores, may not be the number one idea that appeals to you right now, Leo, because Leos like to take charge. They like to be the head of things. They like to take risks. Gambling is ruled by Leo. And Leo, I don't know if you're really going to take me too seriously, but I hope you do. This is not the time to take a gamble. This is the time for you to really seriously consider restructuring your future plans. Now, you could say, I don't feel like doing that right now. Well, fine. It's going to get done for you then, Leo. It's going to happen. It's going to happen very soon. It should be happening right now. You have to consider that there is going to be a change in your future plans. And this could be through your employer. I mean, maybe it's not a change you want to make, but maybe your employer is going to make that change. Maybe they're going to cut their budget back and cut their staff back because they're running a business and they have to get through the winter. So do you see, that's an example. I'm not saying that that would necessarily happen to you, but people can be pulling back or retreating right now in order to make sure they can make it through a very uncertain economic time. And Leos are full of sunshine. The sun rules your sign, Leo. And they're confident that they can do anything. But Leo, the reason why you're going to have to restructure your plans is Saturn in Aquarius, which is retrograde and rules the future, is opposing your sun. And Uranus in Taurus is squaring your sun, which means financial conditions are going to fluctuate. They just are, Leo. And once again, might not be in your control, but it's going to affect you. And so you'll have a need to restructure your future plans. And that is somewhat immediate. It's now. This doesn't mean that the plan goes into effect today, but it means you have to have a plan. And you probably need to put it on some sort of a schedule. And seriously accept the fact that you've got to stick to the schedule. And make sure that you, along with everybody else, retreats to higher ground. Retreats to something that is less expensive and perhaps if you listen, communication is so well favored right now. If you listen to people who have simple ideas or simple solutions to something and their suggestions don't cost much, so that doesn't call for any extravagance, does it? No. It calls for a lot of hard work, but not a big financial commitment. And so that's what you should be looking for, Leo, because this winter you really need to hang on to your money. And, we cannot tell, I say pending recession, but technically we're in one now. But, it's important for people to just keep going, but to scale back a little bit. And that's for the good of everyone, For instance, Leo, if you decided to make an extravagant gesture, take a real expensive trip, treat people a lot, some people might even feel a little embarrassed by that. Not because they don't enjoy your generosity, they do. And Leos are very generous people. But because not everybody can participate, or even if they are your guest at something, their own lives, they may be living on a much smaller budget. They may have very high bills or debt that they're worried about. And so you have to be a little bit sensitive to the conditions that other people are going through and will continue to go through all winter long. So this is a time for you, perhaps, Leo, to lead a quieter life. And I know you don't want to stop or anything like that, but I'm positive you will have to restructure your future plans. And now would be a good time to get started on that, because even if you say, I'm not going to do that, it's going to get done to you. And better that you're in a cooperative frame of mind rather than you get a big shock at the last minute. So just think about it. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Virgo. Well, Virgo, you could have been enjoying a pretty nice time lately. And that is because you may have been very popular. Because Venus has been in your sign. And Venus is actually at the critical and fateful 29th degree of your sign today. But Virgo, that means it's leaving tomorrow. It's going into Libra tomorrow and joining the Sun in Libra. And it's actually conjuncting the Sun in Libra right now. And yet you still have Mercury, your own ruler, in your sign, and it is the ruler of your sign, but it's retrograde. However, it's trining Pluto in Capricorn that's retrograde. And together they are both trining Uranus in Taurus, which is retrograde. Actually, Virgo, if you sort of wanted to get in the rhythm of things right now, the rhythm among the earth signs is to retreat. It's to go back to a simpler lifestyle or something that doesn't cost so much money. Or if you are involved in some sort of business, corporation, or institution, or even a government agency, this is a time when you may have benefited with Venus in your sign from some kind of a raise or some money coming to you, particularly if you are involved in an occupation that serves others, or your employer is in an occupation that serves others. There could be a little raise coming along, or maybe it's already arrived, I don't know. So that would have been good. But actually, a lot of people in business now, and so this would include your employer. I'm pretty much including all employers. And so these could be employers who are running a charity. These could be employers who are running a service, or a big corporation, or a government agency. But nevertheless, whatever they're heading, they are looking at the bottom line, and they know they have to restructure their investment strategy, and they have to cut costs, and because of a pending recession or upset in the world. And so they know that they have to hold management accountable for current failures and setbacks. And that means there can be a cut in management. And yet, there are a lot of people around, good hard workers like you, Virgo, that are good problem solvers. That's something that your sign rules. And who could come up with good suggestions that don't cost much money, but do tend to solve a problem and benefit your employer. You know, make your employer look good. So you could do that. Sort of helping your employer retreat to higher ground, where everything is a little safer, and there's not as much risk, and there isn't as much financial loss going on. Now, that would be a good idea, Virgo. You could succeed at that. Virgos really like to be of assistance to other people. You know, a lot of Virgos do not think they have to be at the top of the mountain, but they really like helping somebody else get there. And so you're invaluable in wanting to assist others, particularly at a higher level than you are. And so you could be coming into a pretty good time, but I think you've already had a pretty good time, Virgo. So good luck to you. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, congratulations, the sun is in your sign at 5 degrees. Venus, your ruler, is heading on into your sign tomorrow and will immediately begin to conjunct the sun. Actually, it's doing it today because it's at 29 degrees of Virgo. That's within 6 degrees of where the sun is in your sign, Libra. So you're about to become more popular than you already are, Libra. Lucky you. But having Venus in your own sign also means that you can facilitate a happy compromise or an end to any kind of legal issue that's sort of been bothering you, or that hasn't really worked out yet. So this is a time, since there's a grand trine in the air signs, when your good communication skills, Libra, should really be used right now. You should not sit home and have a single day when you're not talking to people, because Libras, they have such a charming way of talking that they attract people to them who like to listen to them. And so even if you are going somewhere where you're not planning to do a lot of talking, it's just, for a lot of people, it's a comfort to have you around, Libra. People like you. You know, Libras don't have any real hard edges on them. Now, that would be sort of unusual if they did. And so this is a time when you can be in your element, because Mars in Gemini is trining your sun, so it's going to be trining Venus. That's what I mean about you're going to be even more popular. A Mars-Venus trine is good for everybody. It means men and women are going to be getting along better. So we can all look forward to that. And then Saturn in Aquarius is also trining that sun in your sign and Venus as of tomorrow. And so this is an excellent time for you to think about restructuring your future plans, which you might have already been thinking about. And you may have had a number, in this past year, or even 2 years, you may have had a number of rather good ideas. Now, they probably didn't all come to fruition, but you probably still have them. And I think there are a number of ways that you can express yourself artistically, which you like to do, or it can be that there are a number of ways that you can help other people get along. Because the communication for everybody is going to be a lot better now, at a higher level, particularly for the air signs. So you could be instrumental in prompting some sort of peace agreement or ironing out a legal issue that works out okay. And so you should try that. Don't be afraid to suggest things right now, Libra. You should speak up. You've got a lot of strong support between Mars and Saturn that are trining your sun. But now you also have this wonderful planet, your ruler, Venus, coming into your sign tomorrow. And that's going to make you look better and feel better and sound better. So congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time, Scorpio, when you really, since yours is a financial sign, you really have to be careful with the money. And the reason why is that it isn't necessarily that you don't have money. It is that you need to get as much out of your money as you can, or as much for your money as you can. And so that might mean that you could be involved in having to restructure your future plans or change your investment strategy. Or you may have to realize that there are some people around that have been responsible for current failures or setbacks, and those are not affordable anymore. And so you may have to be involved in some sort of decisions that cut out a few people, simply because it's sort of like they didn't pass the test. And the test is how to keep your head above water in very uncertain times. And Scorpio, your sign rules survival. You're going to keep your head above water. But I'm just suggesting that you have to sort of make no matter, even if you had a lot of money, you have to make it count or just leave it where it is. Because it would be better for you too to retreat to higher ground. In other words, this isn't such a time to be spending a lot of money. This is a better time to be getting a lot more value for your money. Make it work a little harder. And by that, you may need some new people around you with simple ideas that have lower costs to them, that can still be very successful. Now that I hope appeals to you, because that's the way to get through a real cold winter. And maybe make up for some of the losses that you may have experienced around you in the last year or two, and particularly this summer, when I don't think Scorpio's had a good summer, because the 3 malefic planets were all affecting the sign of Scorpio really hard because there was nothing in Scorpio. And so the squares and oppositions of the three malefic planets in the other fixed signs sort of dumped all their problems right out of Scorpio. And so, okay, you survived. Congratulations. And things can be better now, but they can't go back to what they were. And the reason is there's too many things that are beyond our control right now, so we have to retreat and seek higher ground, safety. And we have to trust that there are other really good communicators around with good, simple ideas that cost less, that can help us still be successful. And that's who I hope you're looking for, Scorpio. You know, not to, even if you had a ton of money, this isn't the time to just spend money. This is the time to say, am I getting a good value here? Because if I'm not, the answer's no. And so, you know, times have changed. And being extravagant is in bad taste when other people are suffering a lot. And so, look for value, Scorpio. If you can find good value somewhere, okay, put your money on that. It could be very successful. You might not know it for a year or so, but it still could be very successful. Saturn is coming into Pisces as soon as it leaves Aquarius, and then it will begin to trine your sun. And a wish that, well, we'll talk about that more when it happens. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius, this is the time, Sagittarius, when I think it's going to be okay with you that you need to retreat to higher ground, just like everybody else does, and sort of play it safe with your money. And it can be in a way, for if you could cut your own costs, your personal costs, well, that's good, because then maybe you could pay off some more bills. Or possibly, since you do love to travel, Sagittarius, you might be able to put away a little extra money for a nice trip that you've been wanting to go on. And so maybe this is just a time when you've got to save and conserve, just like everybody else. But that doesn't mean that you're going broke, Sagittarius. It simply means that, just like everybody else, you need to be much more careful with your funds. And if you are in debt of some kind, you need to really try to get that debt paid down. And so that may involve you getting another part-time job. In other words, if you have a job and you could just spend one day a week doing something else, that's money that could go to pay down bills and release you from debt. And if that was your goal, say for the next year, that's a very noble goal. It would put you on higher ground. It would certainly improve your credit rating. And it means that you'd be in a better position to go forward at a later date. You'd be able to afford something more by paying cash. That's the nice thing about cash. You don't owe anybody anything. You pay the cash, it's yours. It's real nice. And there are no extra charges to that either. So make your money work for you a little bit better, Sagittarius, and try to get your bills paid down or your debts paid down to put you in a really good position to make a move sometime later next year. I think that whatever you're going to be doing next year, you're going to need more cash to do it. So maybe this is just a good time to retreat to that higher ground and maybe just put your money away. Save it. Because you'll need it next year for something pretty nice that I think you're going to enjoy. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Capricorn. This is a time, since yours is an earth sign, that you can really benefit from the fact that there is a grand trine in the earth signs, and today there's 4 planets there, but Venus is going to leave Virgo. It's going to go in and be in Libra tomorrow. But the 3 other planets that are still trining each other in the earth signs really are going to support you. And they have been doing that. And that's because Mercury is retrograde in Virgo and trining your sun. Uranus is retrograde in Taurus and trining your sun. And Pluto is in your sign and is retrograde. Okay, a grand trine in 3 planets that are going backwards means, Capricorn, that you too have got to retreat to higher ground. Now what that means is that it doesn't mean that you're going to lose money, but what it means is that you may want to decide to be more careful how you spend money. And Capricorns are very good at investing or buying things because they like to get their money's worth. Capricorn rules antiques, but an antique is just a household item that's grown in value over a long period of time. So Capricorns have a very good eye for something that looks like it isn't worth much, but they have a good eye for aligning the price of something with the true value of it. And so Capricorns really have sometimes rather beautiful things. They don't particularly cost much, but they look like they do. And they probably would be worth more as time goes on. So Capricorn, this is just a time for you to take a look around, maybe your home or your office or wherever you work, and just see if there isn't something that you would like to perhaps sell that has gained in value. That would be fine. That would be putting the money in your pocket. Or it can be that you are thinking of looking for something low cost that would be very appealing in your home. And you could do that. Or you could hear about very good sales or good values right now. And that could be particularly true in January, right around your birthday, in late December or January, around the Christmas rush. There are going to be big sales after Christmas. And you may be able to find something then. So the point is that if you cut back on your spending now, you'll have more money to spend when the prices come down. So it's a pending recession that we may be in. Well, for sure, after Christmas, there's nothing but sales going on. And that is when, if you saved a little more money now and sort of pulled back or retreated in your spending now, you would be in a very good position to make your money work a little harder for you right around your birthday sometime. And so you might see something that you've always had your eye on. It would be sort of nice to be able to afford it, but you might have to sort of retreat in your spending in some other ways, just to make sure you can afford it. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Aquarius. This is a time, since yours is an air sign and a fixed sign, that you can be very popular, you can be very industrious, you could be surprising yourself with how much energy you've got. And you could almost say, where did that come from? And it's because Mars is in Gemini, it's direct, and it is trining your sun. And as of tomorrow, both the sun and Venus in Libra are going to be trining your sun as well. Your popularity is going to increase, Aquarius. Isn't that nice? And it can be that there are some rather unique, unusual, creative people coming into your life, Aquarius, which would be just fine with you. And it can be that you can get together with some very talented people, and by working together with them or just talking to them, you could come up with some good ideas on how to really get ahead. And Saturn is a planet of reward. It's been in your sign for 2 years, weighing you down a little bit and giving you problems that you wished you didn't have. But you've gotten through all that, Aquarius, and you've solved things one way or another. And now I think you're coming into a period of much better communication with people because yours is an air sign and there's a grand trine in the air signs. But really good planets, both Mars and Venus, are going to be trining your sun where you have Saturn. So when Saturn is in a person's sun sign, it can make them easily depressed. It can make them tired. It can make them look at, the glass being half empty instead of half full. And so, you get to come out of all that right now, Aquarius, and, think ahead. Your sign rules the future anyway. You may as well think ahead. And you can go ahead mixing and mingling and talking with other creative people. And I would say, as long as you're just open to whatever's going on, you could pick up some really good ideas that could make you more successful. I mean, the only good part about having to get through problems is that they really teach you a lot. You learn a lot from having problems and solving them. Okay, so on that score, you'd be an A student by now, Aquarius, because you had your problems in the last couple of years while Saturn has been in your sign. But think back about everything you've learned from all of that. And if you think back on that, you're going to realize you are in a much better place now. You're stronger, for sure, because you've had to be. And that's not going away. That'll be with you for the rest of your life. So retreating to higher ground, meaning being a little bit more cautious with the money or with trying to do things the same old way, I don't think that's a good idea for anybody, because that might result in further failures or setbacks, because it's not the same old world. And so, Aquarius, count a little bit more on your own talent right now. You've got it. But also, Aquarius, that Saturn has given you a strong backbone in the last couple of years. And that's going to hold you up no matter what is in your future. So be proud and go forward if you can. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Pisces. This is a time, Pisces, when I think that it might be a good idea just to sit something out. And the reason why is that Mercury is retrograde in Virgo. It's not going to stay that way. It'll be direct in a few weeks, and it'll go out of Virgo, and that'll be good for you because it's opposing Neptune in your own sign, Pisces, and Mars is squaring that Neptune. Now, the good news is that Mercury's going to leave, and it'll stop opposing. In other words, you could have had a health problem, or be related, or be involved with somebody else that has had a health problem. And that's going to either go away or clear up or something like that. But Mars squaring Neptune in your sign is sticking with you until next March of 2023. And that means it may be very hard for you to know who to trust. And I would say that you're going to need a little angel sitting on your shoulder, whispering good hints in your ear to guide you through relationships that you're not sure of in the next 6 months. And luckily, Jupiter is about to come into your sun sign. And that's going to be the angel on your shoulder, Pisces. Really advising you and helping you. And it could even possibly make an impossible dream come true that didn't make it the first time around. So there are good things happening, but at this moment, you too should retreat and sort of sit something out right now, Pisces. And like I said last week, be a good observer of something and don't get involved because you don't have any control over it. Save your energy for better times. when Jupiter comes into your sun sign, you're gonna be a little bit more on a roll, Pisces. And so this is a good time to retreat and make sure that you're strong enough and that your finances are in good shape, or that you're doing something to make them get in better shape. And that's enough to be thinking about right now. Just solving your own problems. So I hope you do that. Okay, thanks so much for tuning in. You can read the blog on our website, starborninstitute.org, and I'd be happy to send you the show every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. if you subscribe to it on my Karen Campbell YouTube channel. Until then, I'll see you next week. Bye.